Hi, my name is Taylor Fleury of Alibu Farm, and I've been a breeder and developer of sport horses for over 20 years. I have bred my own mares as a mare owner and raised foals to be both marketed as well as maintained my own foals to develop them for sport and sell them later on. I've also raised colts into being stallion prospects and getting them approved with different registries to stand at stud for the public. I've also had the opportunity to sit on several different breeding registry boards and go to the different currings and on tour with the judges and learn what they're looking for when they evaluate young foals or stallion prospects to get approved. For me, and I think a very general consensus is the mare is so important. For me, it's more important than the stallion. And I think obviously a good stallion complements a mare, but the mare for me is the majority of the piece when you're breeding. I think it's important when you begin breeding to ask yourself why you're breeding. What are your breeding goals? Are you breeding hunters, jumpers, a quality sport horse for the market? Are you breeding for yourself to raise and develop, or are you breeding to try to sell it as a foal? I also think it's a bit different to try to sell a foal than a 3 or a 4 year old in the market. So I think the first question is to have a plan, know what your goals are so that you can work towards achieving those goals. As I said, for me, the mare is the most important. As I'm looking for the top sport, and so I'm looking for a mare that has a good mother line that shows sport horses have been produced. Even if she herself did not jump, I want to see sisters, brothers, close relatives that jump to top sports so that I can see that that family is a sport producing family. Then I like to look at the mare and be honest with myself about what the mare is. Is she a mare I should be breeding? I understand that might be the only mare available to you, but don't just breed to breed. I think there are a lot of different options to breed the mare that you want to breed or should be breeding. When I got into breeding, I knew the mares were the most important, so I went out and I bought a couple of really good fillies that I could raise for breeding later on. When I evaluate a mare for breeding, I evaluate, as I said, her family line. I evaluate her temperament. Is this something that we want to be breeding and passing on? And then I'm really critical on her conformation and build because as I said before, I think that will pass the majority on to the foal. For me, when I look at a mare, I am very strict about they must have two front straight legs and two similar correct front feet because no feet, no horse. I, as a rider and a salesperson, know how hard it is to maintain a horse with two different front feet for sport, but also I know most buyers won't even look at the horse if it has two different front feet. So I think that's very important in breeding. And then I go on to look at the type of the mare. Is she a modern blood type? Blood being, is she heavy in her bone? Is she light in her bone? I think the sport, no matter which area you're breeding for, whether it's a horse for yourself, the junior amateur market, or top sport, the days of really thick, heavy boned horses is going by the wayside. I think people don't want to work that hard to ride a heavy horse. They want one that has a naturally forward thinking mind, which I think you can tell a lot by looking at the type of the horse. Is it light boned? Is it short backed? Or is it a really long backed, heavy boned horse? For me, that's not a mare that I'm going to breed for the future because she's not going to produce what my goals are looking for. So be honest with yourself about the mare that you have, the mare that you're breeding. and be picky about what you can improve on her, because for me, that's how I choose my stallions. I ask myself, what does this mare need to be improved on? And then I look at the stallion and say, I look at the different stallion options and I choose the one that I believe will most improve those things that I chose on the mare. That's how I choose my crosses. When I breed a stallion and a mare, I look to improve the mare's faults and also ask, is that stallion going to help meet my breeding goal that I mentioned at the beginning? Then when the foal is born, for me, I think buyers, again, basically look for what I talked about in the mare. They're looking for a foal with a good expression, a good, pretty type that is modern. And again, back to when I say modern and a blood type, whether you're looking for the amateur hunter market or the top sport market, I think that people want one that is lighter boned, that is a short rectangular frame like this. They look for one that has longer legs, with the back and the legs should be a rectangular frame, that not necessarily a square. But they don't want a full with a really long back, a really short neck, short legs. So I think when you hear the word blood type, I think it means a lighter bone, a proportionate back to the legs. And they, again, really, I think, look at the legs and tell if they're straight-legged, 2 front feet. And then they look at the movement of the foal and they say, is it elastic? Does it have good balance? Is it uphill? Does it have a good floaty canter? Because I think you can tell a lot about how the horse will move in the future for the sport by how it moves as a foal. It's such natural movement that's what I think you see later on. And then if we keep the foal until it's 3 or 4, I've purchased a lot of young horses for myself and clients, as well as been on the selling end of a lot of young horses for clients. And I think it's more of what we just talked about. I think no matter which arena you're going for these days, whether a hunter or a jumper for the amateur market or for top sport, they want a lighter type that when it moves across the ground, it doesn't pound on the ground. That's what I mean when I say good, powerful, elastic movement. They want it to hit the ground light. That's back to the blood type. They don't want a heavy horse. They want lighter bone, a shorter back. They want one with a good temperament. I think that's so important in today's market. I think a lot of people think that they can breed these horses for top sport, but then they're trying to sell them to the amateur market, and that's just not realistic. That's back to such a good temperament. So I think the moral of this, for me at least, is be honest about what you're breeding and then choose the choices that meet the goals that you're breeding for, and be honest with yourself about what you are looking for, and know that it's a labor of love.